How much longer before all Americans are making enough money to live without worrying? We, the American consumer, is dealing with a lot of problems. Higher prices, and oh my goodness, are they getting higher. Shortages. You go to the store and you don't find a lot of what you're looking for, and the COVID Delta variant. America's economy can't fully recover without the help from its consumers, who are the backbone of the nation's economic strength. But rising inflation, goods shortages, supply chain issues, and rising coronavirus cases have left consumers in a difficult place. Consumer spending contributes some 2/3 of America's gross domestic product, the biggest measure of economic activity in the United States of America. But consumer spending has taken a hit in some parts of the country as the Delta variant spreads, and I'll share which places those are that are getting hit hard, and if it'll get worse, and will it come to your area. Welcome to the USA One podcast, the program where I and my two sidekicks share the most interesting notes of the day from social media, radio, newspapers, and other publications that we know you don't have time to follow. I'm Juan Andres, also known as Senor USA, with my two co-hosts, Professor Pico and Dr. Mordidas. If you would like to view our programs, you can find us on the USA One podcast on iHeartRadio, Podbean, TuneIn, Alexa, and YouTube. Easily accessible on your smartphone or any internet-compatible device. The Federal Reserve said in a report last week that the economic growth downshifted slightly to a moderate pace over the summer as worries over the coronavirus caused consumers to dine out and travel less. The central bank's Beige Book report, which compiles anecdotes from businesses, found that retailers in New York have grown less optimistic about their prospects for the rest of 2021. Car dealers say there's no end in sight to the chip shortage that has slashed their inventories. Hey, Juan Andres, I didn't know about this Beige Book. It's a summary of commentary on current economic conditions by the Federal Reserve's 12 districts, and it's published 8 times per year, Juan Andres. That's about every 6 weeks. It's prepared by each district on a rotating basis. I looked it up on Google, Juan Andres, while you were talking. That's a new one for me. That's correct, Doctor. In Atlanta, restaurants and retailers had trouble meeting demand because of persistent labor shortages. In Chicago, consumer spending decreased slightly but remained at a high level, even as leisure and hospitality companies suffered. Juan Andres, the leisure industry is businesses like cinemas, movie houses, restaurants, and sports facilities. And hospitality industries are hotels, tourism agencies, bars, and places like that. Yes, that's absolutely correct, Professor. Inflation climbed to a 13-year high over the summer before moderating in July, but price hikes have hit everything from lumber to used cars, and economists are worried that some consumers suffering from high prices may choose to slow down buying. Slow down buying is serious in this country, folks. We're 2/3 of the economy. We slow down and the country shakes in its boots. Businesses are struggling with supply chain issues and products taking a long time to get to the retailers, which are pushing up the prices of some products even further. And you'd ask yourself, why would slow delivery increase prices? Well, the rents are paid every month and employees every week or every 15 days. If it takes 2 months to get your order, to be able to resupply your business, to get the goods that you ordered to sell, you in that time period, waiting for the order to come, you paid your employees 4 times and you've paid the rent twice. In comparison, if the goods arrive in 2 weeks, you paid the employee once and you only paid half the rent. So you see that slow delivery can make a big difference in the price you pay. In other words, the cost of doing business goes up faster than sales to cover it because of lack of inventory. And then your profits start disappearing. The jobs recovery continued early in the summer, with some 2.6 million jobs added back to the economy between May and July. Economic activity picked up as well as people traveled again, and the reopening continued. But then worries about this new Delta variant threw a left hook into the business world. And it took hold. And optimism waned. And that's the word that you got to be careful. Why is the word optimism so extremely important? Because if the companies get pessimistic, they hunker down, stop hiring, and cut expenses, anticipating a slowdown on sales and profit. If they feel optimistic, the opposite happens. They're willing to move ahead and invest because they feel that things are going to be good. The businessman has to anticipate what's going to happen. There can't be a demand for something and then everybody's looking for it and no one has it available. They have to anticipate that. And the only way that they can anticipate and they're willing to take the risk is when they feel optimistic. So feelings play, believe it or not, a huge role in the world, the world of business, all around the globe. It isn't an American phenomenon, it's all around the world. Retail sales contracted and consumer sentiment plummeted. The August jobs report was far weaker than expected. And I would attribute that to the Delta variant and the political unrest in our country. Why? Well, there we go again. Because of the optimism and pessimism factor in business. Look, don't you think that businessmen that saw the January 6th attack on the Capitol didn't stop to think twice? Is this going to happen again? What's going to happen here? Hey, when we get to work Monday, you know, those orders that you just, it goes to the buyer, those orders that you just sent out, send out some to the buyers, send them a communication that slow the delivery date. Slow it, tell them we don't want to receive it for a month. Let's slow things down. And you know what I'm telling you, when inventory is slow coming in, cost increases because you're paying salaries, you're paying rents. So this all plays into it. And then when you stop to think that they're now menacing that they're going to get together this weekend, January 18th, and maybe have another hullabaloo, and everybody's worried whether that's going to cause problems, that causes businessmen to be cautious. The same thing, they're talking about having demonstrations around the country at the different state capitals on January the 28th. Look, and you know what's funny about this? Republicans are supposed to be the party of business. Well, they give away money very fast, right? I mean, they cut taxes. But I don't know that a lot of the things that they do don't nullify the good things they do. They might cut taxes, but what good is that going to do when you're turning around and you're messing with the economy back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you know, with optimism and pessimism. It doesn't make any sense. But most of these guys are not politicians, they're lawyers, okay? And the world of lawyers is very different. Lawyers like, they got to go in to the court and fight. And they got to say whatever they got to say to make sure they earn their money and that their person isn't found guilty or doesn't lose the case. And they take those trends to Washington, D.C. And business doesn't work that way. Business is not looking for fights, they're looking for peace. Because if it's not peaceful, people have difficulty getting to the store and buying their goods. If there's a war going on, they can't get their inventories to the places that need to get to around the globe. You follow what I mean? If there's unrest, there's so many things. And that's what slows down the economy, slows down the world economy. And we have politicians that their basic instinct as human beings is counterproductive to the business environment that's needed for a healthy economy. But they know how to cut taxes, but that's not the only thing that makes a powerful economy and makes us a leader in the world. Cutting taxes is not the only thing. Trust me. I've been in business all my life. You hear me talking, I'm not talking like I don't know anything about business. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I ran a Fortune 500 company, but you don't need to. All this applies all the way from small businessmen to gigantic corporations. It's common sense in the business world. And sometimes politics get in the way. They mess it up real bad. January 6th was exactly that. And incited by a businessman who claims he's smart and he's a multi-billionaire because he's so smart about business. He wants to sell books, and he opened universities to teach people how to make money like he did, and he goes around. I don't know. Is it just me, folks? Or what I'm saying make any sense? I don't say that you have to agree with me, but stop to think of it. Irresponsible in my point of view. Well, anyway, now schools are reopening and parents are bracing for the possibility that their children may be exposed to the virus again in the classroom. And meanwhile, many companies are delaying their return to the office because of the Delta variant. So none of that is helping the consumer sentiment. Now that's you, right? I was talking about businessman optimism and pessimism. Now let's talk about your sentiment. If you're scared, you don't go out and spend a lot of money. You don't plan on that vacation that you were going to spend the money on, even if you have to pay $1,000 or $250 penalty. Sometimes it's better to backtrack and cancel because your sentiment isn't there. You're feeling insecure. And you got to make sure that you have enough money to feed your family. So you start holding back. We're emotional human beings. And what we need is peace, tranquility. We need to feel secure. We need to respect one another. So our economy can continue growing and we can be and continue to be and enjoy being the most powerful country in the world economically and militarily. This environment we're in, I don't know. It's not healthy. This week's economic data, including retail sales and inflation, is going to provide a better sense of how the economy fared in August and how badly the Delta variant has hurt our recovery, and it has. We don't know how much, but we know that it has because it's slowed down. All we're going to see is the size of the hurt, but there's no doubt that it hurt. The economic comeback might continue at a slower pace for the rest of the year because of this optimism and pessimism from businessmen, because of the consumer sentiment that you're experiencing, and because of the Delta variant. So, is there a silver lining? Well, going into this summer, the biggest threat to the U.S. economy and financial markets was that the recovery would be so fast and so strong that it would cause the economy to overheat and inflation would kick in and get completely out of control. Well, guess what? These speed bumps I just mentioned to you significantly reduce the risk of anything like that happening. And watch out, that's what we're trying to figure. Did the car now travel in reverse? We know that it slowed down. God, I hope we didn't travel in reverse. I don't think we did. We didn't get that far back. But the whole idea of our economy, we want a car that travels forward. We don't want a car that goes backwards or even comes to a stop. We want it to go. In an economy, that's what you need. So the risk is gone that anything's going to overheat and we're full speed ahead. We're going to get into inflation. But the prices are still kicking up. We have to watch that. I'm Juan Andres, also known as Senor USA, with my two co-hosts, Professor Pico and Dr. Morditas. You can always find us on the USA One podcast, on iHeartRadio, Podbeam, TuneIn, Alexa, and YouTube. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time.